We're going to start with our first presenter this evening. The envelope, please, because I can't remember. Chris Pan. Oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you my name. My name is Dutch McDonald, and I work at Maya Design, and Chris is my colleague at Maya Design, and he's going to be, by random selection, he is going to be the first presenter. So his presentation is called, you're going to lose a slide for this because it's really long, Surrealism, Redux, a lifelong search for a method of making art in which the ego, reason, aesthetics, moral concern are completely removed from the process. Do you want to?
So what you're going to see is my work is about removing the creator from creation, the creator from the artist. It's more about artist as receptive, artist as conduit. So these are really experiments. The art is really the residue left over from the attempt to remove logic from the process of making art. So what you're looking at here is a series of charcoal drawings done 1991 to 1996, these next few ones. These were done actually at Cranbrook Academy of Art, where I studied, got my master's in painting. What's interesting about them, I guess, is that how they arrived at it. There was no sketching, no thought before these, they were drawn. So the fact that that arm is up towards where the head is appealed to me at the time. The fact that there was no head there appealed to me at the time. It doesn't show the fact that when this drawing started, this figure on the right here happened to be standing in their garage. The charcoal allowed me to quickly change the scene. It was just a combination of subtraction and so forth. And so what I tried to do at one point, this little footnote down here, is actually try painting these, but I discovered that the situation painting doesn't allow for that automatic sort of surrealistic response where I'm trying to remove my tendency to think about it. These were not thought about, they were just made. So with painting, I decided not to paint, but what interesting about paint was its viscosity, and so I devised a way of painting where I couldn't see where I was going, so I would do a layer, and then I would do a resin over top of that, and do a layer and resin over top of that, and build these layers up. And what happened with these pool paintings, so I eventually began to work with them on the ground. So I'd start with something like this painting that I did of this the skeleton over here, but I would just work in layers over top, and what you're looking at here on the right is a detail of that. Layer on top of layer and layer. I didn't know, the whole point was not to know where I was going, to not know where I was making, to not make something that was preformed in my head, which I do in my professional life as a designer. This one's an interesting one because you can see how it built up. It started at that first layer down here, and I just ran out of room, and so I just kept building it up, building it up, building it up, and then I decided I was finished around this time. So this is actually a painting of resin, layer, layer, layer. So I would respond to each layer. I didn't know where these things were going, and it's about going around this curve. This one on the left here, I ran out of money to afford resin, so I just started using gelatin. The cool thing that happened was those brown spots you see, and they're actually mold that happened to form. So the great thing was nature was involved, and these forms, and I would put gelatin over top and freeze them in time, and that you can see this crack here, which I have. So another one, pencil drop. This is me standing with a mechanical pencil about 5 feet above it and dropping the pencil and trying to hit the direct center, and the piece was finished when I hit the direct center. So it took me 987 times, and I would check it with a loupe to make sure I hit the dead center. So I made a series of pencil drop drawings. This is a piece called Yaterman, done at the Hewlett Gallery back in '97. What you're looking at are average faces superimposed over each other. So people would come in and we'd ask them questions about whether they felt they were unfortunate, unhappy, heterosexual, liberal, and these were the average faces. It's sort of an investigation of physiognomy. These weren't made, they were arrived at. Again, the situation here is things that, it's a situation in which the piece wasn't created by me. So, average face of Christ. The one in the middle next to that is the average face of the convicted criminal. This is, on the right here, is the average face of Republicans, Democrats, TV evangelists, and presidents on the left-hand corner. So these are quite beautiful, but I didn't make them, they were made. So Doodle Archive, I doodle a hell of a lot. People think I'm not paying attention to memes, but I doodle everywhere. To date, I've been saving my doodles since 1998. I have over 25, between somewhere 25,000 and 30,000 doodles. I can put out 30 a day easy. And so I'll doodle anything, meeting notes, a lot of stickies. I tend to doodle the same thing. These are just a sampling of faces. So when I have a doodle, I just cut it out and I throw it into my face drawer. So it's usually just a sampling of different faces. You can see, you know, I happen to have different, you know, some of them are sides of plates, napkins, pieces of paper I had living out, and they're all about the size of my thumb. They're very small. These are this blown up. You know, every 2 years I'll go back and kind of look at them. And you got to remember this hand here. When I'm drawing it, I'm not thinking. I'm listening to the conversation. I'm just drawing a hand for whatever reason. And this is about the size of my thumb. And so after a while, you get to collect these things. I mean, 25, 30,000, it's like a database of doodles, if you will. So it's not just figures. I mean, here are samples of cups. And you know, the lower right-hand corner, that one with the face, the left-hand corner, the one with the face, well, the one up top here where it's the two cups formed. I mean, I go back and look at those. I'm not thinking when I'm doing it, but the idea of these two people trying to get at this cup and tugging at it, they can't really drink at it as it's filled. It's sort of an automatic drawing. I doodle arrows, I doodle shapes, I doodle body parts, I doodle cubes. I was thinking, the next part of this piece is I'm going to send it to a graphologist and have them tell me what's wrong with me, basically. You know, it's like, you know, everybody doodles, so it's just a way of me fitting my art into my professional life, because I've sort of given up the painting. So this one, last one, Music with the Spheres concept, over the left-hand corner, left-hand side, it's basically, what I've done is created a music machine. I've superimposed the circle of fifths of music over top of the universe, and I wrote a great program together with this computer scientist named Dave Andre, and it plays the universe. So you go into the program, and if you'll just hit this is 1984 as played by the positions of the planets. And you gotta turn it up. You got speakers? So this is not me writing it, this is me setting up a situation where, how musical is that? Very good. Challenger. The weeks preceding the Challenger, this is the planets going around. And I'm not writing this, it's being written. Right? Okay, next one. Soft shoe. World War II. So what you're hearing is me just putting something together that is made. So I'm kind of removing the author, and all these, I'm removing authorship from the act of making. We're in the 20s? It's no joke. It's actually out there. Now I'm playing with the speed and tempo a little bit. And a lot of it's noise, but some of it's actually quite musical. And so it's just an experiment. And so we wrote a program. You can go in and say, I want to run this from 1920, and I'm off.
Thanks, Chris. Now I know you're doing your desk all day. It's awesome.